don't want to talk. I'd like to be really just banging up a fucking pipe in front of these old people next door who are conservative, and the fucking halfway house, and the guy next door who. Jesus Christ!
Who's the halfway house?
Over here.
Oh, really?
Can you go inside and smoke? What's wrong with you? Like, I'm not worried about the camera in the future. I'm worried about my fucking neighbors. You can see you from everywhere.
What do you think they're doing?
It puts an impression in their heads on me.
Do you think your neighbors are like
Telescopes? Yeah, they have telescopes.
Just sit at the window and they're just like, wonder what's going on.
No, of course, but it could happen. I'm not saying it's 100% chance. The chance, I don't do that. And if I do, that's why I use something that looks like a cigarette and I fit it in the routine. Because it's not actually legal yet. Well, explain to this guy that it's not legal yet.
As good as legal already.
It's gonna be funny though. Some of the black legislators are gonna be like, listen, if you don't give us enough of the money from the legalization, we ain't gonna support it. And that got shut down.
Why does this have to do with black?
That's what they said. They said because minorities have been targeted so much that you're not gonna just take all the money from legalization for white people since you've already fucked us. So you're gonna share it with a 20% minority ownership of companies that profit off THC. It's fine. I would do it too. Like, you can't just have a bunch of Caucasian mega companies take all of the money from us.
For that.
Well, they are, and you're white as fuck.
That's fine. I am not for that 1 ounce. If I think the sin of the problem of young black men getting locked up for weed needs to be rectified.
Both have to be done. They're not saying don't rectify. They're saying rectify, and then don't let massive companies take all the profits from this because they're predominantly owned by white people.
Also, I think black-owned businesses being kept out of the system of any business and industry is a problem as well. I think that needs to be rectified. I think you rectify those two things separately, and you say that black-owned businesses, you should incentivize that and
do
get
better.
it more
Just do
going, and don't allow big corporations that have been around for a long time to come in and just profit off of things like weed. But like, weed's a new interesting crop, basically. It's a crop.
Can you not go on it, John?
Not go on.
Just take a breath.
What are you talking
Just
about?
don't do it, John.
Don't tell me how to be.
Don't double
Don't tell me
dip.
how to be.
Don't double dip. I think I said, could you please just not do it, John? That's all I said. I didn't say, John, don't do it, John.
Fuck. There he goes. Look at that badass.
Do you know how popular Steven... Finish this.
Look at them crows. That's why them crows are freaking out. Because that motherfucking hawk's cruising through. It's like a bomber plane coming around. Like, it's just swooping over and everyone's like, oh shit.
Bombers usually don't pick shit up and eat it, though. It's more like a hawk.
Who?
Bombers don't, like, pick shit up off the ground and eat it.
Bombers
drop things.
They move like a bomber.
I mean, like a poop bomber.
But then they strike like a fucking...
Would you, like, apparently, like, not that animal thing, birds, I think that first person birding, letting people fly birds and be birds, giving them bird's eyes, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
If you can finish this phrase, I'll redact 1% of your over talking for the past.
Stop doing that.
Steven.
Economic shit.
Steven, don't tell me what to do. You just told me what to do. I asked you nicely and said, please. You're lucky you're off camera. I wouldn't want to be associated with that type of behavior.
You set the tone. You set the tone of the way we're going to talk is by telling you what to do, but then obviously
no one said the tone counts.
Not really
the thought counts.
Really
the words count.
So
the tone counts apparently now.
So you don't get to like pop off and then say, "Whoa!"
I'm not worried about what you. I don't mind what you said to me. I mind how you said it to me.
Huh? No, it's not.
John
that's
fucking
not setting the tone.
John Justin Jordan Peterson over here.
I meant by setting the tone as this is the game you want to play. This is the speed you want to move at. Move with the speed. Let's move with the speed.
Dad, if I get kicked out because of him, I'm moving into an RV. I'm not saying it has to be Will Smith's $2.5 million double-decker.
Have you watched High Maintenance for the last season at all? You should. You move into an RV. And he parks. He's in New York, and like he just fucking parks this shit like outside on the street all the time, and then he gets out. And his daily routine is to go up on top of the RV with a couple of lounge chairs, and he fucking lays out, gets some sun, smokes some weed with like a friend or something, comes by and visits him, and then he does a little business, and then dude goes off. It was like so fucking hilarious, and it reminded me of like what you were talking about your dream was.
That's probably like a sort of real RV. I'm not sure, right? It's more of a set, I bet. But it could be driven. Does it look like it can be driven? Right? They drive it.
Yeah. Yeah, they just use an RV.
All right, it's my turn.
I don't think it's a set at all.
What do you think about this? A row of 350 shipping containers side by side,
How many?
350.
350.
Adding up to a 3,000 foot long strip of shipping containers, 40 feet wide, 3,000 feet long. I did the numbers, it's fine.
End to end.
Side to side.
Side to side.
3,000 feet. And then you put a whole nother row or column, stack column. So it's 2 shipping containers end to end. And then that 2 repeated 350 times down a runway. Like that becomes your runway. 80 feet wide by 3,000 feet long, and people literally land on top of our fucking houses. Now, this is not real. This is a small animated sketch comedy that happens because people are like, wait a minute. This would be fucking hilarious. This would never work. But to live in a shipping container underneath an electric runway, like in some kind of flytopia, like that's a fun mental exercise. And you can actually fly virtual airplanes off of the roof.
Why would these people be underground? No,
they're not. The runway is above ground.
Why are?
Because we don't want to spend the extra money to build the runway. We use the roofs of our houses.
So these shipping containers
are runway components that you happen to be able to
would be locked into each other. So the people who lived in them would have no windows, right?
No, you have a window out either end.
Right, on the ends they'd have a window. Well, one end would have, right? So so one unit is 2 shipping containers wide. You're saying, like basically.
Well, each one would have its end open, but it would be one. It would
wide, but then there's a bunch. Yeah, there's a bunch lined up, right?
One unit, 1,280 square feet. But more likely it would be like.
So on the ends, it's open, right? You can have a door, you can have windows, whatever on the ends only. The rest of the whole thing, it's like a super.
Well, you can have a window to your next.
No windows.
You can have.
So that's a kind of
window to your neighbor,
huh?
Or a telescreen. Of course, you can have telescreens. Calm down.
Telescreens. Okay.
You know what kind of ventilation you can get?
Okay, so we're talking
if
augmented
you and
windows.
your neighbor open up their doors.
We're having video windows.
If you put a ducted fan in between those 2 rooms and both sides open their doors, all the air is gone in a matter of seconds. All the airplanes are electric, so there's no pollution.
Here's my
You
question.
can't get there by car.
Here's my question though: is that the idea of that being a runway and people living
A flyway. It's called a flyway.
Whatever.
Well, because it can float on the ocean, because we can build a
the idea of
floating
being a runway there.
Oh shit, that's how we did it.
This kind of makes sense in a when I think of remember Ghost in the Shell?
No, I don't. I never watched it.
Like you ever seen like Akira or?
No, I don't watch it.
Any Japanese?
Don't watch it.
Never seen a Japanese sci-fi what's it? I don't know, fucking.
I just haven't. I don't know. I've never never got sucked into it. Maybe I will.
I'll have my other stuff.
This is a great secret camera. People know, but it's a great low-profile filming device. Not like this, of course, but on your lap, like when I sit in the park.
So the idea of people living in shipping containers that are futuristic.
Well, okay. Don't say that. Just say people taking a vacation in a shipping container for 1 week
well,
while they get their pilot's license and their kids get their pilot's license cheap as fuck.
Okay. Makes it a little more interesting. Okay.
It's a compromise that really matters.
Okay. It makes it a little bit more interesting. So my point is that this would only make sense. The only world I can see this making any kind of sense in is if it's in virtual. No, if it's even in virtual, whatever.
Well, it's one town in virtual.
But I only see it kind of making sense in a place that's like
aquatic,
like in Ghost in the Shell and shit like that. Like it's all about this or like Blade Runner and shit like that. Like it's all about this like futuristic city space where the density of the city has gotten so intense. Like Fifth Element. You've seen Fifth Element, right?
Yeah, but we don't want to do it. They've already done that. They've all done that.
I know what you're saying.
We want to leave our nature untouched. We want to live in nature, but just have a runway hiding our houses from nature. So everything else on our property is nature. All there is one inductive runway with a safe space for like hurricanes or biological attacks or whatever.
So
it's an electric survivor runway.
I don't understand what you're saying, man. I don't understand what you're saying, man.
It's a thought exercise. It's a thought experiment.
Right.
It's for virtual reality. Hello. Good. You?
Good.
So, if you're talking about something that's trying to have the least environmental footprint possible,
with flying and housing, at the lowest price, on water,
then I think why would you still accept
why not just
planes the way they are and runways the way they are? Just say, if we're going to build all our structure, the idea of the world around that, then how do we end up at this place?
Like a golf course airport, the way they do it now. You're saying?
Well, we already have
trailer park. Put it on a road. Just land on the road. Just corrupt the local politician and land on the access road. Why build a runway at all?
why even?
Why have an inductive runway at all?
You know that little. There's that little.
I don't.
John Travolta has like 7 or 8 private planes, and he apparently lives in a little village. One of his homes.
Flying communities, yeah.
Flying communities. Thank you. Okay, so you do know what I said. All right. So yeah.
Of course, but those are just like any. I mean, that's something more like what we'd be doing if we used something like. I don't believe in shipping containers ultimately. I believe in teepees. I believe in 3 steel beams that go 1, 2, 3, done.
Well, my other
Take
point,
your skin off,
my other point
fold
though,
them
too,
up,
is that
go anywhere.
why? Yeah.
Fuck shipping
I
beams.
say the answer is not in having to build massive runways that will require that amount of load to be upon them. We're going to build lighter, smaller planes. Later, smaller planes. We already
Same
know.
thing.
Cessnas can land
We
in the
still
fucking field.
want a
Right. But Cessnas can land in the field. Right? You don't need a runway for a Cessna. They can land in a fucking flat field of grass. That's totally fine, right? And we should be building for that. I agree with you. I think we should have more green roads. There should be more greenery. That means that the idea of shipping containers and we could have all these shipping containers and still do something with them. But I don't think the runway makes sense.
Most of the planes,
water.
planes are small, and you could use grass. You could even do. Technically, you could maybe do.
I'm saying
an
that only
inductive
makes sense in a
grass one-way.
dystopia.
You could do a grass. I thought last night of doing a grass one. I was looking up all the different runway types. You could do a grass runway with some kind of a grid over it, right? So like 94% of the area was grass, but there was some kind of metal, some kind of composite grid that added to the ability of the runway to not get destroyed. Because a landing, even of a relatively small plane, and we're not only talking about small planes, we're talking about mostly small planes. We also want to fly in our cargo, which comes in, you might need to land 5,000-6,000 pounds on the runway. Grass is not great for an amazing vacation. We'll have a grass strip too, sure. Right next to it will be a grass strip. That grass strip will be where we do our electric bike drag racing. I don't give a fuck, whatever.
Let me ask you this. Why has none of the billionaires, the mega billionaires, the trillionaires, the few that are out there,
Built the city that you can only access with your own airplane?
why have none of them actually built yet the fucking proper megalomaniac fucking like in a mountain or in a hill where it's invisible and like there's like grass sod, then there's just like it opens still.
For what, to hide?
Not to hide, just to fucking build it.
To dig out a mountain?
Just for whatever fucking reason.
Why not just build I'd rather design and build a fake mountain.
There's a natural cave that's massive in Northern California, just north of Napa, and it's this huge cave space that's like fully kind of unexplored, not fully explored.
Can we go drive to the fucking vape store?
But yeah, why is no fucking crazy? Like, if I had that money, that's what I would do. Like, why do we look at like Tony Stark's house in Iron Man and the Avengers headquarters and be like, oh, this is really huge. Look at that. Look, that could totally exist right now. Someone could build that shit right now.
Well, that's a good thing. Let's make a place where people actually do start to build also virtual. What if you had that much money? If you literally could put this much, what would you actually do with that money? There's a guy with a $500 million insane metal sailing yacht off of Antigua right now.
There's a bunch of boring ass fucks like Wilbur Ross who just spend all day pushing numbers and documents around because that's how they get more money and more land and more ownership and more employees and blah blah blah.
Was he here? Dude, fuck caves.
Stormtrooper is like, shoot.
I mean, the only reason to do that, the only reasons would be one, for pure efficiency. If you could literally get access to a factory with some surplus machines that weren't being fully used, and you could customize those 700 shipping containers so that each one of them had as its roof, right, a piece of runway that was inductive and would connect to the one next to it. So they were all identical, right? The fucking shipping containers are obviously identical. The roof panels, the wiring, all fucking identical, so you just line them up. You could build that pretty efficiently, and when you put them together on the prepared ground, you'd have an amazing 3,000-foot inductive runway, which doesn't make a huge difference. But taking off actually takes
solar panels, man.
Well, we could land on panels if we could get panels that were resilient enough. I mean, yeah, I thought about it, but it's also a very difficult thing to do. And I just cleaned this laptop, and now I'm gonna spit on it. Great.
Spit all over the fucking laptop.
But to build SharePorts to build remote controlled SharePorts is a joke. To build
remote controlled.
Well, like where I say to my dad, listen, you're 74 years old. Like, you sick of all these crappy planes? Like, let's talk to all the guys. Let's go on a little tour of the region in Florida. Let's talk to guys who fly. Let's go on the boards. And let's convince them to build an airport together. Wherever we'll find a location, we'll take a year.
What's a remote controlled SharePort?
Oh no, it's a SharePort for remote controlled aircraft. It's just a shared remote controlled airport. Like, instead of you going there and bringing your 5 shitty planes and the other 100 guys bringing their 5 shitty planes.
Aircraft for
remote controlled aircraft, just fun hobby. Drones, planes, helicopters, flying saucers, like remote controlled shit.
But all camera, first person, yeah.
But you put so you sit down in a little cockpit. And you pull the headset down, and you get to fly any one of our 100 different aircraft, first person. But your seat will also turn to follow the airplane and film it in 16K. So everything you do will be captured gorgeously by a tracking camera. You'll basically be anti-aircraft artillery, except you'll be connecting to the plane with something akin to a laser. So you'll have beautiful video, beautiful control. It's computer controlled. Like, if you go out of the flight envelopes, you actually get charged $1 for every time you would have crashed the plane.
People come to a physical place to do this?
For that, well, you can also do it remotely, which is weird as fuck. Yeah, you can operate drones and fight from remote, but yeah, people would come, stay in a shipping container, stay in one of our solar teepees. Because once you build one of those teepees, you can rotate a panel.
I don't care about what the place is right now, but people would come to
a real place, brick and mortar, yeah.
You'd have
a real airport, camping and flying.
You don't have to.
Well, you bring an RV, you park, and then there's a runway, and you fly your
but you could do
all
this,
different kinds of craft.
You could do this along the. You could do this
anywhere. The truck stop
by the falls. You could do this somewhere by, just down by Canal Side. You know, you could have a little Canal Side spot where you get to fly around better. Right?
It gets down there might be tough. Cities get tough with flying. You can keep your. You could say we have triple redundancy. We're only going to go up 200 feet.
You're heading south essentially.
But if you're going to do that, you just build on the water.
You would fly from Canal Side. You would fly it over Tift Preserve, over the water, over that. Like, that's where you go, not by the city.
If it was a lighter than aircraft that couldn't hurt people, sure. If it was one of our flying saucers, yes, that'd be a great idea. Remote controlled tourism.
But you would have to do a lot of. I think there's a lot of software work actually to.
No, there's just writing.
Unless you were to do it out in the middle of nowhere. If you were to do it in the middle of nowhere.
You write software? No, I don't. Do I write software? Not really. You write software like shit. You are not a full stack programmer. You're like a pancake programmer. You can write little scripts. So don't set your standard too high for yourself.
Work on software.
You're a programmer basically.
So no one person has ever.
No, but the programming is not going to be the complicated part.
Programming structure for a piece of software that's gotten a lot of usage. No, it's never happened.
I use one.
Every single piece of software that's written has multiple people involved in it.
Maybe if you borrow from libraries, but Vaughn Cordero did build a program for extracting all the messages from an iPhone. You know, I used to do an iPhone in the beginning. I used to have to. I was talking. I pointed a camera.
Anyone
I just
can
keep
build
talking.
a
I just keep talking. We'll
anyone
talk at the
can build
same
a piece of software that does something for their specific purpose. I'm talking about all the free and open or proprietary software that's out there that is used by large swatches of people. That has actually like been being tested and used like popularly. That shit.
Swaths
of people.
I mean, they are different colors, but that sounds racist.
Swarthy.
Do you have the fucking cigarettes?
Fuck.
Well, my dad takes his airplanes to fly, right? My dad would actually love to go, I think, like one of these summers, to kind of go on the road in an RV and tow a SharePort behind him, like take the concept and like 12 to 15 different airplanes to other fields, right? Just as a regular guy, and then take out his 15 airplanes and be like, listen, this is not for everyone, you keep your own planes, but what we do here, and it's way more friendly for your grandkids, is we come together to acquire a fleet, a whole range of some of the coolest aircraft out there. We used really robust radio systems on very specific channels, so there's never any interference, right? We have first-person systems that are more expensive than you can afford, and they're used a lot, which is how we afford shit like that. Like, we are efficient with what we do. and you can fly 100 different airplanes,
I think
all
this-
of which have in between you
this
and a
idea
crash
you
a
should-
computer that'll say this motion is putting you into the red zone, and now we've taken over flight. Right? When you crash, your flight ends at this place because it's not a real crash, but it's saying you're pushing this thing to the point when you'll destroy our airplane. If you want to do that, you better have a safety deposit equivalent to the cost of the airplane plus 20%. But that's a remote-controlled SharePort. A real SharePort works just as well. And yes,
to do that. Any
yes,
car-
so far they're only for the rich. But if you're willing to live in a compromised community,
What's the name of this business?
SharePorts, if you go into his real
The
estate,
remote controlled
RC SharePorts.
RC SharePorts.
SharePort.
What if you had to come up with a funny, like a just not funny, but a more fun name for it that was less just descriptive?
SharePort Alex.
Come on,
SharePort Alex.
come on, no, come on.
I don't know. I'm not fucking gonna force
Think
myself to
about
go find some other fucking
Like,
name.
Okay, so what's the question is I have is what is the age group here
For which one? There's so many ideas.
for this
Hold on.
thing? Is it
Hello, this is a message from the Kenmore town of Tonawanda.
Kenmore town of Tonawanda?
I'm hanging it up like Tia's hanging up.
Christ. Cubs. The jurisdictional nightmare of Kenmore Tonawanda.
Oh, you know what this place is, right, Mr. Pizza?
Yeah.
Depends on what kind of SharePort you're talking about. It's only really a place where people come together to have.
Is it? I mean, are you
But it's
thinking
more like
that
the Port of Los Angeles. It's a place where people keep all their
teens and
expensive
above?
shit in a
Is it
port.
gotta be like, is it 20 somethings? Is it all ages of? But what's the minimum age then? Like,
Well, it's
just
financed.
some
It's
kind of
fine.
range.
The initial ones are financed by
you-
grandparents down in Florida and include places for their relatives to stay. It's for their grandkids to like spend a week,
Okay.
way cheaper than Disney, flying
Kids-
airplanes with
kids
grandpa.
Okay. So I get what you're saying. Okay, that's the age group. So elders with kids.
We make all our money and we make all our excess money over spring break. The rest
Okay.
of the year it's just chill as fuck,
So-
flying, redundancy.
So yeah, there you go. Flying. Think of the idea of what's the experience.
We
that
call it
people are gonna go through.
fly-ons, fly-ons.
Fly-ons, that's
Flying irons. With the flying irons, with the fly-ons. You said a stupid
Fly-ons.
word with the
No,
fly-ons.
that's all right. That's getting it going. I don't know if that's a winning idea, but it's good. It's in the right direction. RC, like the RC thing. The RC thing is interesting.
You'd be like, Alex, I had at least a minute to notice that card was Bob. At least 2 minutes. I had $7,000 worth of suits to go through before I actually had to make a decision about whether or not to park by the vape store. Men are funny. I'm just saying.
RC's
Maybe even funnier than
interesting
women.
as a thing.
O-U-R-S-E-E?
I don't know about that, maybe, but I think that gets to the point of like what it is. People, that's not a common word anymore. RC shit. It's kind of as a throwback.
It
to
could be
like,
VC, virtual controlled. Because everything is, right?
Yeah, VC sounds like people think of that as like venture capitalism. I don't know if that's especially if you're talking about like.
What if it's VSEE? VC.
VC.
Virtual C, like it's telepresence. That's what we're doing. Like even if you're local, you're still, most people are using the camera in the cockpit of the airplane or the camera in the top of the vertical stabilizer so they can see themselves flying in third person. That's one of the things we can do that nobody does. Some guy's claiming he's built a flying saucer that will be capable of supersonic speeds. Like it's the revolutionary thing. I don't think so. I think they're great for flying saucer drones, which don't do that well in 30-mile-an-hour winds, but which are incredibly stable camera platforms that on a nice day can get enough solar energy inside them to power everything they do in up to a 3-mile-an-hour wind.
The branding question is, you said you want to have grandpas and kids, with their kids come and they want to come to the scenario. So the question is when people are talking amongst themselves.
The word is when
the father or the grandfather or the kid comes and when they say to the other one, I really want to go to so-and-so place because I want to do that thing, right? Like when they're saying that, the word that they're going to use there, if it's like a banal word like SharePorts, right? I want to go to the SharePort. It doesn't sound fun, right? It's like, it kind of takes a little zip out of it.
I want to be a remote control. It's remote controlling. Remote controlling.
Like,
we're trolling comms remotely.
You know, like there's a reason why kids like are like, I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Like it sounds fucking fun. I want to go to Disneyland. Like it's a place that has that like.
I want to go fly.
fun
I want to go
zingy
fly. I want to go to flyways.
Right. I want to go to flyways.
Oh wait. Here's the thing. I searched flyway first kind of by accident, right? Because was runway or flyway. Flyway isn't a great word. It's runways would be better. So, and that's just some parked internet domain, basically.
Yeah,
Then I
wanna go
searched
flying.
flyways. I'll give you $1 billion of my dollars if you know what was at flyways.com.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. I'll earn it for you if you tell me what was at flyways.com without having seen it online. If you went online,
Flyways.com is probably, boy, what could that? That's so many options. There's so many fucking options what Flyways.com could be.
no one could ever get it.
I mean, Christ, it could be so many different things. It could be a fly fishing thing. No, someone would get that. Said no one would ever get it. Flyways.
Where's my fucking
It's probably
Wi-Fi?
like some weird
What about Fly-Fi?
Fly-Fi. It's funny. It's fun. It's definitely fun. Fly-Fi.
Why is this not
Or
showing
just
up?
Hi-Fly.
All right, I'm gonna tell you, okay?
Hi-Fly? Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi. That's a good name. Finally had a name, John. Even though I probably wrote it down already, I'm sorry, but I can't guarantee that. I mean, that's a stupid question. Why would you even ask that question? If there's ever an unnecessary question, why fly would be the unnecessary question. Like, because it's fun as fuck.
Right. So, yeah, saying I want to go down to Wi-Fi.
So it's
Saying it in the
Argentinian,
Keeps it fun.
high volume
Sounds fun to say too. Wi-Fi.
dove hunting. It's high volume dove hunting, dove killing with rifles in Argentina.
Why are we off?
Flyways. That's what flyways takes you.
Wait, say it again.
High volume
That's what that is?
Argentinian dove killing. Literally, it's like a resort for shooting more doves. I swear to God. I'll show you, but I can't get my
Holy shit,
Wi-Fi right. Just like
Argentinian,
high volume
high volume dove
killing.
massive
No
dove
joke. It's
slaughtering.
insane. It's the craziest internet search I ever got. Watch this. Look at this. Look at this. Look. I'm not joking. Oh, this is the wrong. Wait. Oh, I did Flyway. Sorry. I did it again. Flyway.
There you go, Flyways. That's kind of was more I was expecting. Just some weird bullshit.
Why
thing.
Flyways?
High volume dove. And
Yeah,
it's
but that-
nicely designed.
Beautiful.
It's a
Like-
very nice site. Holy shit.
But it doesn't even. I won't even go into it. Like
What the fuck?
I will go into it
Dude.
one day.
The internet.
Okay, now how about this? This is the greatest thing
People.
about it. If you have a place where you're flying airplanes, what's the next best thing you want to do? What's the only thing, if you have somebody flying an airplane, what do you want to do to that person flying the airplane? Like, what's the
You're thinking you
you're
want
gonna
to
shoot them out of the sky. Now, if these are target drones, right? If we have soft weapons, right? They're not going to kill it.
That's a funny idea.
And you break them. If you hit them and you break them, they fall on the ground in pieces. The pieces are meant like they're like reusable pinatas, right? Those
Right,
planes
so
can't blow themselves
people-
apart to flutter
Well,
to the
making-
ground.
Making the game out of it to be that people can fly around in their things and
attack,
play a game against each
people on
other.
the ground.
Try to shoot each other out of the sky.
Yeah, you can't
maybe
do that in your
ways.
backyard, right? You
Right.
can't even do that at
So
like
I
a Chuck E.
think
Cheese size.
doing
You need
that,
it
doing
out in the
that's fun,
city.
and then having giving the option that for the people who came with their friends and they're the ones flying up there that they can choose to play with. You can get a rifle. You can sit in like a big thing, and you're mobile on the ground, so you can try and shoot them out of the sky.
The same machine
in
that would let you
different
fly would right? You could basically
That's a fun place.
imagine if you were flying your plane, like you gave it a bit of a route, and then you changed your perspective.
Drone laser tag type thing. It's like that would be a success. I think.
Pneumatic,
People-
reusable ammunition,
The
very
hang
little
up
true
in order to really
destructibility.
make it work. The biggest hang up I think would just be like the maintenance of these different drones.
That's the
that you
point of
have.
the whole place, though, to create volume and
Right,
efficient
so you'd have to be
maintenance
replacing
facilities.
these things a lot.
Well, you'd have a backup of every piece. They'd be getting knocked out of the sky. Like the pieces would, like I said, be designed to be
And picking the
non.
right spot becomes interesting because, like if you're doing it, like if the point of so you have two, ideally I think the right physical location would be that you could do these two different things. You could play in the game area where you do this game of shooting people down and whatever, or you can go into
Peaceful.
just flying and exploring the area that's around, where there would be like actually, like I said,
Like observing monkeys from the canopy.
going down by Canal Side and going south from there. If you go along, there's the river where
Buffalo
it goes
stop.
back.
There's no Buffalo SharePort.
Huh?
It's not
I'm
happening
saying,
here.
if you were to fly around that the river down there, Tift Preserves, and along the water, that's good, like fun coastal shit. And then if you had like a field where that field was the, you know, a big open area where, yeah, there was like combat stuff. There was like maybe obstacle courses and shit like that. And like, yeah, and then people can shoot them out of the sky, and there's all these time trials.
Robots
like
are really
that,
fun.
you know?
Like, you can make really cool sport war robots. I mean, if you're trying to make like bulletproof resistant shit, it gets hyper expensive, right? Like if you're actually fighting, it gets. But if it's just for fun, you can do some amazing shit. It doesn't have to be only people on the battlefield.
This business is fairly fucking cheap to get off the ground.
Really cheap ongoing too. It's
Fairly
like,
cheap to maintain. Most of the expense, I feel like, in the
combating what Trump did to the name of time sharing is what is the biggest problem.
What?
Combating the effects that Trump had and people like Trump had on the idea of time sharing. Like, it's a place that we'd want thousands and thousands of families to be like, all right, I'll buy a vacation there before it exists. And Trump has destroyed that because, you know, like, time sharing is a scam.
Well, I don't know about that.
It's something you have to get
I
past.
mean, look, you have this concept of it being it has to be tied to a camping spot.
It's a vacation place. It's like we want people to come down to Florida, to come from like out of town and spend a week in our Indian community plus flying.
But I could see it
Flying Indians.
as a place where people
Fly Indians.
where people just can go on the weekend for like.
Well, fine, we can do that too. We can, if people are local, we're not going to tell them to go
Like,
fuck themselves. It's just there's not enough local
but-
people except for
I
like
see
very
it as
large
like
cities,
an open daily place. I see it as like an arcade,
like a driving range.
like a driving range. Yeah, I see it as that kind of experience for people. Like a driving range or like an arcade type place where people in the city can just easily get to it and get that little bit of a break from the city life. You know, I don't think, and I think the idea of getting out into nature and also having it there, that's cool too, right? Like, yeah, friend, I'm not against that, but I think that's secondary because, like, you know, yeah, if I'm out camping and this is an opportunity to do this thing, yeah, fuck, I would do that too. Why not? Like, it'd be like one of the camping things you could do, which is like, you know, taking hot air balloons or fucking going down to caverns or, you know,
Flying
taking
yang.
a boat out or something. Like, those vacation things, yeah, taking a little RC flying thing over the area that you're camping in, fucking cool as shit. Yeah, I'd love to do that. It'd be awesome. Especially if it was in a place that was cool. That was like by a lake and like had.
If you have a lake, you can land on the water.
Streams
Like,
or something, or like just a beautiful spot where, yeah, like some hills and shit like that, where just a varying landscape where, yeah, to fly around it would be fun. And so then that's what I'm saying. So the tricky part here is like if you did this like by like Letchworth or something like that.
It'd be the greatest place to film virtual
You know,
reality,
where would be
augmented reality too.
here where I think it'd be the actual. If you're gonna do an out of, well, I don't know. My point is that the tricky part is that you're gonna be flying over a lot of stuff, and it's inevitable that you're gonna have issues with things breaking down and falling out of the sky when they're just like out somewhere, right? So the retrieval of these things means that you got to have like good relations with whoever property that is. You don't have to have like property rights.
Doing it. This is, I mean, there's separate ideas we're talking about. You're talking about a city-based idea, like we were flying
I'm talking about
over.
both
Well,
in
it's
this
totally
case.
different. You have to deal with so many regulations. Like to move
Right.
into that kind of shit is insane.
Because otherwise, to have a proper camping spot where also the airspace was all yours too, you'd have to have a ton of fucking land. Like, that's crazy. You kind of want people to go flying around in like places that are not just where
it's called
the
Flying
campground
Yang.
would be,
Flying
right?
Yang. It's part of the Andrew Yang campaign. It's called Flying Yang. Andrew Yang invented it. He's like, let's do this. He's like, this is not real. He's like, I just want to show you that I'm creative and that we have amazing ideas in the future. And there are enough lunatics in this country to build these things. Watch. I predict there will be 100 crazy SharePorts in America by the end of 10 years.
But yeah, so the problem would be with the land rights or sort of your relations with people.
Let's talk about the one I want to talk about, which is the rural one, which is
That's
enough
what I am
away
talking
from
about. I am talking about that.
So we're not worried about other
That's
people's
what I was
property.
thinking
We're
of
not
in my
gonna-
mind. I was thinking that in this case,
it's a farm that you can study and you can.
Because if you're gonna do it in the city, it becomes a fucking nightmare, headache, right? Like if you're gonna do it in the city, you're gonna have drones flying over Tiff Preserve. That means you gotta get Tiff Preserve to be okay with, you know, some kind of system where like once a week or whatever, you go through, you go in and retrieve stuff.
You'd need a
They may
super
not
drone
want
to
you
be able
do
to
that.
pick them the fuck up. You'd need a lighter than air flying saucer
Okay, right. Well,
with a
it's-
claw that
sure,
would
sure,
drop
okay.
down like a toy scam and pick up the shit.
My point is that you have to demonstrate to them the
Or
ability
you get a
to
large piece
clean
of
up your
rural
mess.
land and you say,
If
we
you're
don't
gonna be
leave
flying
this.
over their shit, you're gonna accidentally leave a mess. So you just get into this place, and it's what I'm saying. In a city here, it would be a fucking nightmare. Like that's
That's not happening on a 50-acre farm, right? It's not. And if it does, like, you got like,
that's not
what
my
is
point.
it?
It's
Oh,
like, right. So if you're out in a more rural spot, you're only going to have like maybe a dozen neighbors around that are each own like big.
you have none that are close enough to ever land on them. They
Big
just
couple
crash
hundred
your planes
acres or
before
whatever
they
shit.
reach their land.
Right. So the point is, in that
Electric
case,
fence,
those
crash.
people are probably fine. That you have easier odds there because you just got to have a good relationship.
Yeah, when we're rich, we'll move into Buffalo
You
and
just
sell
gotta go
people
up. No, I'm
virtual
saying,
tourists.
for those folks, you just got to go up to them and just tell them like, hey, you know, I'm gonna be doing this thing. You're allowed to fly for free anytime you want to. Like, just come by, check it out, because you know, odds are we're gonna have occasionally a thing break down, and we have to get it back. So we're just gonna have to go on your property. I'll always give you a heads up. Let me get your phone number. Let you know when we're gonna go on your property. Like, blah blah blah. And they'll be like, yeah, sure, totally fine, cool. You know. And they're like, if you want me to sign something, and they'll just probably be like, no, don't worry about it. Like, of course, you're just the neighbor business. It's fine. And so, yeah, it's much easier to achieve. I'm saying with rural.
All right, for
shit.
100 future dollars, what is the
100 future dollars.
finish this phrase? It's a real idea. You know that it's in Ideopoly. Like,
What is this? Seagull?
even if we only do 140, the last one. No, it's not
Steven
Steven Seagal. No, it's not Steven Seagal. Although I'm gonna write that down.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagals. I'll make it 1,000. Then I'm gonna write it. Ready? I'll take it down to 25 future dollars if I give you the first letter. This is the game with kids, right? It's like a game where it's like, what is the game where you spin the thing and you gotta flip letters?
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking. 25 future dollars. It's not a lot.
25 future dollars.
Stephen Hawking, he is the god, right? He's the genius. That's the highest level in Stephen Hawking. There's all these other bird robots, like whatever. There's all kinds of remote control
Did you ever
planes.
hear-
Anything that can fly.
Did you ever hear that there was a rumor going around, and then it was written in the paper one day that Stephen Hawking apparently would run over the toes of people he didn't like, and the way he responded was, "This is a malicious rumor, and I will run over the toes of anyone who repeats it."
I mean, wouldn't he love that though?
Dude,
If he were born,
fucking
if he were
great
born
sense of humor,
100 years later, right? Don't you think he'd put on a headset and he might have invented Stephen Hawking and like literally flown around virtually with his body trapped, like over the world where he sucked people into because of his fame and his particular genius and his invention of Stephen Hawking. Like, I live here now. He'd be like, I'm gonna go hang out in his world. It's better than Trump's.
Yeah, I often wonder what it was like to be Stephen Hawking, man. Like, it's kind
Stephen
of
Hawking
weird.
or Stephen Hawking?
Stephen Hawking.
Because it wasn't like it was kind of in a way like being Stephen Hawking, but like completely intellectually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not
It's
probably
interesting.
not quite as visual.
Try to even base a character off of him in any way. It's very weird for me because I don't know what he like. It's such an odd way of living. Like to have this.
What's a word that comes before the word black?
I mean, think about the fucking traumatic event that he went through from like because he was like, you know, when he was. I never saw the movie that came out, but apparently did a pretty good job. But like, you know, when he was a smart dude. He was a smart dude and walking around and like falling in love and like getting drunk and like hanging out. Like he was like a dude. He was just like a fucking dude. And then all of a sudden his body just starts to like just falls apart until he's just like and he just can't even do anything. Like that just happened over like years. And Jesus. Meanwhile, fuck, how do you like keep your will to live going, man? Like that's the most incredible thing. Like it's this, I don't even know what it's like in that. And then still find purpose and like then become like everything he wanted to be. Like just didn't stop thinking and writing and exploring and researching. You just didn't quit. Man, like people like to talk about like this theory of like what if like Stephen Hawking as, you know, is he such a big brain because he's in the wheelchair? I think that's like nonsense. I think Stephen Hawking.
No, he was very, very bright beforehand.
Right,
It
that's
helped
my
him to
point.
focus.
I was like,
he
can
had
you
to
imagine
focus.
like Hawking could have been
after.
our Tesla, right? He could have been that
Or he
guy
could-
had
or
he
he could
been
have
able
been-
to move around and be a fully functional person for his entire life. Like that big old.
Yeah, what
brain
did
of
Tesla do
his.
for us lately? Like
What
someone
did
else
Tesla
wasn't
do
going to
for us
invent the AC motor. Like J.D. Edison was going to dominate the whole. Imagine if the whole world. That could be another virtual world, right? Like Edison's world. Everything is powered by DC. There's generators.
No, I
the
know
whole
what
world is
Tesla,
defined
I
by the
think
fact that there has to be a huge generator everywhere, right?
Right.
Anywhere there has to be a
So that's why I
localized.
think Tesla's
Which
Tesla's
might transfer faster to like a solar plant everywhere,
Well,
a wind plant everywhere. You have to live around the power sources.
I am one of the big fans of studying Tesla's like unfinished experiments. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around like what he accomplished but never published, and the things that he was testing and working on, because there was a lot of stuff written in his journal, and of course he was constantly achieving things that he didn't share the schematics with, especially later in his life when he was even more paranoid, rightfully so, because everyone was trying to poach his shit, and he was poor, and he had fucking like OCD and shit. Like he was really, really secretive and shit. So he left a lot of like mystery sort of dangling there, things that we know that he would have figured out. And one of them was that he believed that we could harness the energy from the friction of the earth and the atmosphere just spinning, that there is a natural friction there, and he thought he could tap into it and use it not only for energy,
Well, he wasn't
but also
gonna figure it
for
out. They figured out
as
he
a
was
communication
wrong.
relay.
They figured out he was pretty much wrong. There's not the energy in the atmosphere is like extremely high voltage, but it's not. It would cost a vast fortune to extract it. It's not the answer. Of course you don't know. I don't even know, but I would never. I would put
This is the
$0
point
on
of Tesla
that.
thinking, man. The Tesla thinking, you don't think in dollars.
No,
You never
versus
think in
other
dollars.
sustainable methods with equal low
No,
pollution.
that's the point. You never think in dollars. We never would have gotten alternating current. We never would have gotten the fucking, the shit from the Niagara Falls. What is this dude doing? Dude's like.
Can you do that with vapor, like on purpose? Can you like do that? Can you have like a restaurant
sure.
car that drives
Yeah.
around just powered by the oil of your restaurant, feeding shit out of the back of it? Can we do philosophy trucks that vape the street with like a large volume of low smell strength vapor? Like we want it to look crazy, but not
If
smell
it's just a scent,
over
it's fine.
smelling.
There's rules on chemical.
But like there's also rules. Like if the rules don't say you can't do it, right? You could do it
It's
until
like-
they pass a new law.
Remember there was like a huge scandal with the EPA and VW and shit where VW was lying about their pollutant outputs and their miles per gallon shits and all this stuff.
Dude, I can't even.
Like in LA, that's why California's got a notoriously, bad reputation or just reputation for their car production. And for California, you have to have different standards. So you're not allowed to drive cars around that don't pass like the smog emissions tests. So there's like emissions test all the time for every single car. You gotta pass that shit in California. It's less strict here because air pollution's not as recognized as much of a problem here, even though it fucking should be. It should be everywhere. It should be. But cars in the end don't really make that big of a difference.
So here's the flying idea: SharePorts, SharePlanes, flyways, fly Indians. I'm an excellent driving range by Rangeman. Fly in Yang, Fly in Range, Dronuts, Seagull VR, which is seeing eagle virtual reality. It's video reality. Steven Seagulls, Stephen Hawking, Crowbots, Budget Zeppelins, Perspective Zeppelins, inflated planes, and not included Aquaviation.
Robots.
Aquaviation is all water-based, like flying. We are making a Mach 1 sub. We're making a submarine that can go Mach 1. That's our whole goal. Just like Rick's goal is to get the Szechuan sauce created 365 days of the year. Our goal is to make a Mach 1 sub.
Okay. Back to the SharePorts or the Wi-Fi.
Oh, I don't even have I didn't even have Wi-Fi. I can't even fit this shit on here.
Robots made me think of how, the idea of bots, using the bots word, is pretty interesting. The robots idea. Robots is funny, if you were to say, but it also kind of sounds like crowbar, which doesn't sound like a flying thing.
Crowbots kids start to look at crows in the real world and think, is that fucker looking at me, much more often because of crowbots.
Because like you said, this whole conversation kind of kicked off, like the way you introduced this idea was with the idea that everyone wants to be like a bird, I guess. Like the fly guy, it's like a natural thing that everyone's like, yeah. Like the Wi-Fi, everyone says yes to that.
What about Wi-Fi full fun?
But the being a bird thing, making it a bird-like experience, I think that's interesting too. Like crowbots is alright, but people don't really like crows.
Obviously, not everybody likes doves in the southern hemisphere either.
Well,
How does that happen?
I think more than disliking
Excuse
doves,
me.
they just like fucking shooting shit.
Oh god, there's even
It's
more.
like, for them, it's just like a game, man. These guys are just game hunters. what was it? Large mass volume? High volume dove hunting in Argentina. Oh, Christ. I gotta get my ass to Argentina, man. It's apparently legal as shit.
Don't need to do that. I want to start talking shit about people like in a nice way. But listen, I love you. You know, to each their own. But if you're doing a certain set of things, you're not like if what you've chosen to do with your life is to be a chef making fancy foods, like you're not like just don't think too highly of yourself because you're fucking cooking. People, it has nothing to do with freedom, has nothing to do with justice. It's a fucking, it's taking dead animals and luxuriating them before they get shit out by the person who eats them. It's not. There's a scale of honor in occupations, and chef is.
All right.
My grandma told me in a dream that I was only supposed to talk with anyone for one battery.
What?
Nothing. Battery. That's as long as we should really talk. We got work done on a limited scale because my brain knew that I could.
So you actually do have deadlines. Your deadlines are dictated by your battery life.
I didn't bring my super battery. We'll make it. We'll make it.
The only deadlines you respect, and then you enforce them like a tyrant.
I didn't enforce. I said, could we go as fast as possible home? Maybe I didn't say please that time. You told me before. You told me what to do. You told me what to do before. You said, Alex, don't tell me what to do. You're just telling me what to do. And then you did it even more like reasonably, realistically. Edgar Allan Poe. What was the one? Wi-Fi faux fum. Wi-Fi faux fun.
Wi-Fi faux fun.
Oh, dude, that guy loves
Wi-Fi faux fun.
Have you ever talked to him? The guy with the fucking the do-rag on? Looks like an older Jim Kelly. That's David Tork. He is a disturbed. He actually had he had a brain injury at one point. Like, but he's very like. You wouldn't like him.
He's very
very skeptical, very like made conservative, like and a rapidly aging white man who sees a lot wrong with the liberal causes and how they go about things unsuccessfully and kind of went way over. I mean, he's not like a fucking he's not like an alt-writer or anything, but wait, are there alt-writers? Is that like a alt-writer?
Alt-writers.
I'm gonna leave the aviation page for now.
I mean, literature, alt shit has always been a thing for everything. There's always alt everything. It's like
yeah, but usually it's like
got started in the 90s. That's why they started calling alternative music and alternative films and alternative.
Yeah, but if you say I'm an alt-writer, you have the beginning of a very small poem.
Yeah, you're off and running on something about today's situations of the day. You can make good stay on alt-writers.
I'm a white knight writer.
Maybe we need more alt-readers.
Oh, these cigarettes are fucking gross, dude. Oh my god, like literally just poison right into our, like sucking it into some of our most delicate organs.
Open it up, get the fresh air out there.
Oh, just to mix it? You want me to like carburate this shit before I fucking... Yeah. Fuck full strength poison. What is?
This guy, white van, this dude pulls out of a driveway.
Fix everything?
Just blocks a lane just to sit there. Clearly knew what was possible and what wasn't, and like, just made his choice.
What percentage of people in the world do you think would, like, if the city were the same, except for all the roads were grass, right? Everything was small electrics, and all the deliveries were done at night by slightly bigger electrics, and all the excess road money went to build a crazy electric Grand Prix track around Buffalo and an electric runway. Like 3% of the world would be like, "Fuck, that's way better than anywhere I've lived." Like, give me that.
This is not that far off.
Give me Grassity. Give me Grassity. Give me Grassity.
The Green New Deal is proposing to
push towards City of Grassity.
That was very much what the Green New Deal, in terms of support for alternative energies, mostly smaller, lighter weight electric vehicles, is not really specifically outlined, but
the Green New Deal is really just words, right? Stealing from the New Deal to say, let's spend a ton of money to fix the country with other people's money.
Moving. You got to start with words. All right.
My grandma told me in a dream that I was only supposed to talk with anyone for one battery.
What?
Nothing. battery.
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta-
that's as
you're
long
gonna-
as we should really
you
tell.
feel
We got
like- you
work
feel
done
like
on a
you're-
limited scale because my brain knew that I could
So you
escape.
actually do have deadlines. Your deadlines are dictated by your battery life.
I didn't bring my super battery. We'll make it. We'll
Those
make
are
it.
the only deadlines you respect, and then you enforce them like a tyrant.
I didn't enforce. I said, could we go as fast as possible home? Maybe I didn't say please that time. You told me. You told me before. You told me what to do. You told me what to do before. You said, Alex, don't tell me what to do. You're just telling me what to do. And then you did it even more like reasonably, realistically. Yeah. Edgar Allan Poe. What was the one? Wi-Fi faux fum. Wi-Fi faux fum.
Wi-Fi faux fun.
Oh, dude, that guy loves Trump. We should talk. You
Wi-Fi
wanna
faux
go-
fun.
Have you ever talked to him? The guy with the fucking
Sure.
the do-rag on. Looks like an older Jim Kelly. That's David Tork. He is a disturbed. He actually had he had a brain injury at one point. Like, but he's very like you wouldn't like him.
He's very
Very skeptical, very like made conservative, like and a rapidly aging white man who sees a lot wrong with the liberal causes and how they go about things unsuccessfully, and kind of went way over. I mean, he's not like a fucking he's not like an alt-writer or anything, but wait, are there alt-writers? Is that like a alt-writer?
alt-writers.
I'm gonna leave the aviation page for now.
I mean, literature, alt shit has always been a thing for everything. There's always alt everything. It's like the
Yeah, but usually it's
alternative
like-
thing got started in the 90s. That's why they started calling alternative music and alternative films and alternative.
Yeah, but if you say I'm an alt-writer, you have the beginning of a very small poem.
yeah, you're off and running on something about today's situations of the day. You can make good stay on alt-writers.
I'm a white knight rider.
Maybe we need more alt-readers.
Oh, these cigarettes are fucking gross, dude. Oh my god, like literally just poison right into our, like sucking it into some of our most
That's why you have
delicate
fresh air.
organs.
Open it up, get the fresh air out there.
Oh, just to mix it? You want me to like carburate this shit before I fucking, yeah. Fuck full strength
It is
poison.
genius.
What is?
This guy, white van, this dude pulls out of a driveway. And,
Fix everything?
Just blocks a lane just to sit there. Clearly knew what was possible and what wasn't, and
Like-
just made his choice.
What percentage of people in the world do you think would, like, if the city were the same, except for all the roads were grass, right? Everything was small electrics, and all the deliveries were done at night by slightly bigger electrics, and all the excess road money went to build a crazy electric Grand Prix track around Buffalo and an electric one-way. Like, 3% of the world would be like, fuck, that's way better than anywhere I've lived. Like, give me that.
This is not that far off of
Give me
what the Green New
Gracity, give me
Deal-
Gracity, give
what
me
the
Gracity.
Green New Deal is proposing to
Oh, das
push towards.
city of Gracity.
That was very much what the Green New Deal, in terms of its support for alternative energies, mostly smaller, lighter weight electric vehicles, is not really specifically outlined, but
the Green
that's
New
a
Deal
part
is
of the
really just
principle.
words, right? Stealing from the New Deal to say,
Start,
let's spend a
man.
ton of money to
It's
fix
how
the country
words
with other
get
people's
shit
money.
moving. You got to start with words. Who are
Get out.
fucking